Hello everyone, it's Wendy. I hope all of you had a safe and joyous Christmas, and so far 2016 has been good for you. Quite a while ago I promised to do some videos on some crochet techniques that I do. And I'm finally getting around to it. The techniques that I'll be showing is how to do the magic square and how I close the magic square. What I call a rolled crochet stitch potholder and a double-sided crocheted potholder. An example of a double-sided is this one, and this is using two different types of yarn. Hi Poppy, I don't have any treats for you. But you do it both sides at the same time and it gives you two different sizes. The rolled stitch is this one. And these are some mug rugs that I'm making. At my last craft fair, somebody asked me if I had any. I said no, but that's a good idea. So I did some mug rugs, and it's a great way to use up small things of yarn that you have. This purple one, you can really see the difference on it. And again, this is the rolled. I have a magic square that we're going to finish up, and I'll show you what that looks like. But this again is the rolled. I've been trying to get my stash of potholders. I sold 10 of them in one craft fair, which was unusual. As you can see, my potholders are quite generous. They are usually about 6 by 8 are my potholders. And I make them this big because I like to be able to put my hand on them. And as you can see, I can spread my fingers out a little bit and they'll still be covered, even when I do it this way. And I use all cotton, either the peaches and cream cotton, or there's another cotton that I use. It comes in a skein. But I do try and buy my peaches and cream on the cones if I can. They're hard to find in all the different colors, so sometimes I am left with buying the little skeins and that. But usually off of one skein of peaches and cream, I can get one potholder and one mug rug. For the rolled stitch, for the double-sided, 2 potholders and a mug rug, maybe 2. And then the magic square, of course, is pretty much the same as the folded. So this is going to be 3 different videos, and we're going to get started with the first one. And I have no idea what that's for. In here I have my odds and ends, as I call them. These are leftover. I could actually get a potholder out of those. Leftover from some of my projects. And it's enough to do a mug rug, usually. I can probably get 2 of them out of this one. If I do the double side, I can get one out of this one for the roll. I have an extra crochet hook in there. And as far as crochet hooks go, it's usually a G or an H. Works well. I have here, this one is a clover G, and this one is a boil G. Now, something I noticed, and you have to look at the different crochet hooks. This is why when you're doing a piece that requires a specific size, need to make sure and read your crochet hook to make sure it is the right size, because even though these are both G's, they're different sizes. This one by Boyle, their G is a 4.25 millimeter. That's the size of the hook here. Whereas on this Clover, their G is a 4.5 millimeter. You know, it's only 0.25 millimeters difference, but it can make a difference in your stitches. Also, if you have a tendency to crochet tight, it's a good idea to go up one size. So if I was crocheting with this and I found my stitches too tight, I would almost go to a Boyle because it's 0.25 millimeters bigger and see if that loosens them up. But you might even have to go up a whole size. If you crochet too loose, then go down a size. So if I was crocheting too loose with this Boyle, which is 4.5, I may go down to this, or the Clover, pardon me. If I was crocheting too loose with the Clover at 4.5, I might try something like a Boyle at the same G, but it's because it's at 4.25, it may tighten up my stitches just enough. But then again, you may have to go down a whole size in order to get your stitches tight enough. So, and it's always a good idea when you're doing patterns that require it to be a specific size to always do a test swatch to make sure that you're hitting the marks on the hitting the marks. Now, as far as these pot holders, there really isn't a big size thing. Like I said, I usually use a G, and I prefer the Clover. I can work with the Boyles. I do that because I have a couple cottons from Peaches and Cream that are thinner, and this one works a little bit better. But we're going to start with the rolled stitch first. I'm going to bring you guys in. Okay. So you can see what I'm doing. And, you know, this is just cotton thread. In fact, I think, yeah. This isn't Peaches and Cream, it's Premier Home cotton thread, which is, it works just as well. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and make a slip knot. Move this bag more out of the way. Okay. I make a slip knot. Other people use the magic ring. That's if you're working in the round. But for pot holders, anything that's a straight line, use a slip knot. Now, okay, I got this real close. When I control my tension, everyone has different ways of controlling their tension. I'm going to take you out just for a minute so I can show you this. There we go. This is how I was taught to do it. I always take it with my hand. If my hook is over here in my right hand, I place my left hand basically so like my pinky can touch the top. But I wrap it around. See, just like that. Then it goes over the two fingers and I hold it with my index and my thumb. That's how I hold it. Also, I hold mine like a pencil, and I had there, now it went more normal. It actually goes over the three fingers, and I hold it again with my index finger and my thumb right at the knot. I hold mine like a pencil. Someone commented once that I do it the European way. Okay. Some people find it easier to do an overhand grip, and that is fine. The only problem I have with it is you do a little too much moving here. Whereas with this, I just go through and I don't have to slide my hook too far to have my chain start. It's whatever feels comfortable for you. Now left-handers will do it the opposite way. And I have taught left-handed crocheters. I can crochet left-handed, but it's very, very slow. And normally what I have them do, if I'm teaching a left-hander, is I have them face me and mimic everything I do. They're just, it's like looking in a mirror is the best way to explain it. They're looking in a mirror. So we're going to do a little mug rug here. And 1, 2, 3. My foundation chain is 19. So there's 4, 5. Oops. 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if you notice, I'm able to do 5 of my chains before I have to, before I move my fingers up. That's how far I can go while still maintaining my tension. So right now I have 10 on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 15. I do 4 more. 4. So now I have a chain of 18. And as you can see by this, there it is, by this mug rug that I have already done, it makes a nice size. I have my glass of tea here, and as you can see, it fits on there nicely. This will even hold those big giant mugs. Now some people say, well, why can't you use acrylic? The reason I don't use acrylic in my pot holders is because if it gets hot, it burns. It will melt, whereas the cotton won't. And it seems like the cotton deflects the heat better than the acrylic. And again, that's personal preference. Now, I'm going to do my foundation row, which is a single crochet in starting the second chain from the hook, so it'll be 18 single crochets. And you know, if you've done a single crochet, I always go under the 2. Because when you look at this in the camera, you see where this joins here. I always make it so that there's only 1 loop on the bottom. Now some people make it so that there's only 1 loop. You're only going through 1 loop. And I know there is a pattern where you go through the back stitch of your chain only, and it forms a unique pattern. I've done that on a couple patterns that I've done. I've helped a friend out with some doll dresses, those big bed dolls that sometimes they make into a pillow. When she had to make a couple and was in a time crunch, I'd make one and she'd make one. Also did some christening gowns. Those are pretty to do. Alright. So let's, Okay, we got 3 more. Yes, Poppy, I hear you. Poppy's got her ducky up here. Okay, so now that you have your first row, now you have a couple choices you can make here. You can either leave your tail out and then sew it in when you're done, or you can hide it inside as you go. And I usually hide it inside, and make sure you chain one at the end. You're going to go through, if you're holding the piece this way, you're going to go through that back loop there. And I'm going to bring this underneath my hook. You're going to catch that bottom stitch. So what I have done is I have chain one, and this is what you do at the turn. I've gone through the back of that top stitch, then I've gone through the bottom of my base row. Then I'm just going to pull up through the 2, so I have 2 left on my hook, and do a single crochet. So we'll do that again. Go to your next stitch, go through the back. Okay. So I'm trying to make so you can see this. You can see where there are 2. You see there's 2. If I go here, that's the front. If my hook is closest to me, I've gone through the front. If my hook is farthest from me, I've gone through the back. Okay. I'm going to bring my tail under my hook, and then I am going to take and catch that bottom stitch again. So basically what you are doing is you are going through the back of the top as well as catching that last loop left. Pull it through. So you have 2 loops on your hook, pull through, you're doing a single crochet. I will tell you, this first row is the hardest row. Again, through the back, so that my hook is facing away from me, is pointing away from me. Go through the bottom, pull through, and pull through. But like I said, this first row can sometimes be a little bit harder because you're setting it up. Once this is set up, it goes a lot easier. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip this a little shorter. Alright. So again, I go through the back of that top loop so that my hook is going away from me, and then I am catching the bottom. And then I am just, it's like you're doing a single crochet. The only thing is, it's almost like a double because you're going through those 2 loops. But in reality, you are completing a single crochet. And here's the nice thing, you can tell if you have skipped a stitch on this, because here, let me show you. Let's say I went through that one and I accidentally skipped. You can tell, believe me. So it doesn't hurt, especially on this first row, to go through and look and see if you have skipped any stitches, especially if you end up with more, if it doesn't end up even. Look at your row and see if you have taken and skipped a stitch. Okay, we're getting to the end of this row. Again, make sure that it looks just like this, where you have the back of your top stitch and the bottom of your chain, your beginning chain. Now, when I found the directions for how to do this, there wasn't a video on it. There might be now. And it was a little hard because I was trying to do it from directions. Fortunately, they had some fairly good pictures. Okay, so now I'm at the last one, and I'm just going to do the same thing. Now, to do the next row, chain one, turn it. You're going to skip your chain one, go into the back side of your top chain, or your top loop, and go to the bottom again. And do the same thing. And as you notice, this one goes a lot easier. Because as you crochet your as you do this, it will actually take and fold up for you. It's just that first row that doesn't, because it doesn't know what it wants you to do yet. Yet if once you get started, it goes, oh, I'm supposed to curl up and meet my matching stitch, so that all they have to do is go through both of me. They don't have to take and work to pick me up. Oops. Okay, so that's the general idea. Now, if this was the end of my row, again, I would do a chain one, turn, skip the chain one, go back, and do it in the matching stitch. See, it almost starts to line up for you after that first row. So it does become easier after that first row. That first row is usually the hardest row, but I find once I get that done, it goes a lot faster. Now, I'm going to switch here. This is a pot holder. I'm going to take this out a little bit. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. Okay, this is a pot holder, and it's almost done. All I have to do is finish off the top edge. And this is how I do it, and everybody else can do it differently. For my pot holders, when I reach the end of my last row, as you can see, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and do another row on here, because There's my top. And as you can see, it makes a pattern in there. You actually have a ridge here right above your stitches. And that's why I call it a rolled stitch. I have done this with a half double crochet and it works up just as fine, and it's just as thick. I would not go further than a half double, because when you get into the doubles it leaves open spaces. It just isn't as thick. So either a single crochet or a half double will work. So, and for these I do 29 or 30. Okay, for my pot holders I chain 30 and start in the second chain from the hook. So these are 29 stitches across. And like I said, these are almost 6 by 8. And I could have gone another 2 inches or 1.5 inches and made it a perfect square, but that would have been a little too big. So for my finishing, I chain 10. Then I turn it around and I work it like I'm going to do the same stitch, but only a single crochet. But instead of doing the single crochet, hold on, I got to tighten up my loop here. I do a slip stitch. It figures. When I want it to work, it won't work. Okay, there we go. I just slip stitch it. So I chain 10. The 10th chain, or rather the first stitch, is where I go in and I act like I'm going to do my stitch as usual, except this time I just do a slip stitch all the way across. And what this does, it gives you a nice top. So I just slip stitch all the way across. And let's see, this one. Here's a finished one. Oh, whoa, sorry about that. If you can see, it makes it a nice stitch across the top. And it finishes off, and all you have is this one tail to finish. And the nice thing is you can actually slide your tail quite a ways through in order to finish it off. And if you notice, I haven't finished these off yet, but by hiding my tails in the beginning, I only have this one tail to work with. Now on the mug rugs, like I said, they're 18 stitches across. For the little loop, I only do 8. So that is what I call the rolled crochet pot holder. And next up, I'll be doing the magic square. I have to go get a needle first.